Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate...
This is Veli. Welcome back to my channel. Whoopi Goldberg has long dominated The View, treating it like her personal domain, silencing guests, dismissing opposing perspectives, and delivering her opinions as if they were undeniable truths. But then came Karoline Leavitt. In just one intense episode, the reigning queen of daytime television found herself unexpectedly challenged. What happened next? No one could have predicted it.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Two with plenty of smug laughter, sarcasm, and the usual panel nodding in agreement, the episode began like any other. But the moment Whoopi spoke, the tone shifted. The topic? Wokeness, a concept The View often defends without hesitation. Feeling particularly confident, Whoopi took the first shot. With her signature smirk, she pointed at Karoline and remarked, "Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job. I think she's probably there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10, that's what it is." To be clear, though, it's not her first job, just her first press briefing. She worked in the previous administration. The room fell silent. Even Joy Behar, known for her sharp critiques of conservatives, shifted uncomfortably in her chair. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was Whoopi outright dismissing Karoline's career, intelligence, and work ethic as nothing more than a product of the ideology she opposed. It was a low blow, and the audience knew it. Yet, applause still followed.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good. So good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably...
But Karoline didn't waver. She didn't get defensive. Instead, she offered a slow, knowing smile, the kind that silently says, "You just made a big mistake." Then, with the confidence that comes from having facts on her side, she dismantled Whoopi's entire argument. This is something you don't want to miss. Be sure to like and subscribe as we take a closer look.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
She started with the numbers. Government spending reports revealing how taxpayer dollars were funding questionable woke initiatives, from gender studies in Guatemala to Foreign Sesame. Street programs designed to promote American social activism abroad. She laid it all out with precision, making it clear that wokeness had shifted from a movement about fairness to a political tool used to suppress opposing viewpoints. Whoopi, accustomed to guests stumbling under pressure, suddenly found herself cornered. And even if she wanted to push back, Karoline wasn't about to let that happen.
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on. Right. That's what you hear.
Yeah.
When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say, they talk at you, not to you. And that's what she was doing. And she was doing it, and it's not new.
No.
But everybody's hip to you all now.
Yeah.
And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
Whoopi opened her mouth, then closed it. Tried again. Still nothing. The audience, usually quick to applaud her remarks, sat in silence. Even the camera crew seemed unsure. Should they zoom in on Whoopi's stunned expression as she appeared to sink into her chair after that ill-advised comment?
Do you want to take this?
So you cannot be attractive and smart? I will try to give Joy the benefit of, well, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing. Because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who held her own.
I mean, you would have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark. Because Karoline Leavitt worked, she went to St. Anselm College. She worked for WMUR
Ran for
TV.
Congress?
In New Hampshire, she ran for Congress at the age of 25, put on a very good campaign. She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
Well, heavily pregnant and a new mom.
Pregnant. Yeah, she's a new mother. And then she goes out yesterday and gives and this, again, this is speaking very objectively, because I've watched every press secretary since going back to Marlon Fitzwater. Yeah, I'm that old. And she went out there for her very first briefing at the age of 27 years old, the youngest press secretary ever, and did a terrific job of
the truth.
What you saw live on this program yesterday sparked quite the discussion. Joy Behar stirring controversy with her remark about Karoline. She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. That's what it is. Does that mean a woman can't be both attractive and intelligent? I'll try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt and assume she hadn't seen that press briefing. Because if she had, her impression of Karoline might have been very different. On multiple topics, without relying on a big binder, she held her own with confidence. To be fair, we'd have to assume Joy did little to no research on Karoline Leavitt before making that statement. Karoline has built an impressive career. She attended St. Anselm College, worked for WMUR in New Hampshire, and ran for Congress at just 25 years old, delivering a strong campaign despite losing by 8 or 9 points. She then became a press secretary for Trump's campaign, appearing on television daily, even while heavily pregnant. Now a new mother, she stepped up yesterday to deliver her first press briefing at just 27, becoming the youngest press secretary in history. And objectively speaking, she did a remarkable job.
Yeah, I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason, because black people couldn't get into colleges. because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a...
If wokeness is truly about diversity and inclusion, then why is it that conservative women are so often the ones under attack?
Rather weighed in on X, and he said, he compared our time now to the Nixon era, which was a little scary for me. But he said, enough with both sides-ism. When one side lies intentionally and repeatedly, they are no longer entitled to the benefit of the doubt.
And we should keep in mind, too, that the people that need to hear this are the people who are running the networks that are okaying this. Because this idea, it's like they say to you now, you can only work within this perimeter. But if the facts are not clear to people, that was what a journalist was there to do, to say, in fact, this is what went on and this is how we checked. Now, we've been given doubts that people don't know how to do this. The media has pretty much always been...
This moment, Whoopi realizes she has no comeback. No sharp remark to salvage the situation. Joy attempts to lighten the mood with a nervous joke. But the damage is already done. Even Whoopi had just crossed a line she'd never crossed before, and the internet wasted no time reacting. But here's where things get even more interesting.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help because voters are going to re-elect President Trump back to the White House very soon because voters see these trials that are being brought forward against President Trump for what they are. They are sham show trials. They are election interference in an attempt to imprison President Trump. And the irony in all of this is that Joe Biden and the Democrats and these ladies on The View constantly say President Trump is the alleged threat to democracy, when in fact they themselves are wishfully thinking that President Trump will be imprisoned when he has not been convicted of any crimes. That is the real threat to democracy. Voters see that, and that's why President Trump continues his dominance in the polls, not just with Republicans and independents, but he's also picking up historic gains with Democrat constituencies such as African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and union workers.
Well, Biden...
One thing that stood out was Dan Rather's response on X. He compared today's political climate to the Nixon era, a troubling comparison. He also called out both sides-ism, stating that when one side intentionally and repeatedly lies, they forfeit the benefit of the doubt. But the real concern? The decision-makers running these networks who continue to greenlight this content. It's as if they've created boundaries for journalists, limiting what they can say. Yet, a journalist's role has always been to present the facts clearly, to investigate, verify, and report the truth. And let's be honest, this isn't the first time Whoopi's words have landed her in hot water. Over the years, The View has become a legal minefield, pulling ABC into one controversy after another. From her tone-deaf remarks about the Holocaust to her questionable defenses of controversial figures, Whoopi has been at the center of some of the show's biggest scandals. But nothing has hit the network harder than the recent defamation lawsuits. First, from Carrie Underwood, then Elon Musk, and now Karoline.intro 10, let's talk about Carrie Underwood. When she performed at Trump's second inauguration, Whoopi and her co-hosts went after her relentlessly. They mocked her, claimed she had ruined her career, and even implied she had aligned herself with hate. Underwood, typically one to steer clear of controversy, had reached her limit. She responded with a $1 billion defamation lawsuit against The View. When the case went to court, leaked emails revealed something shocking. ABC had orchestrated the attack on Underwood to boost ratings. The lawsuit sent shockwaves through the industry, ultimately forcing ABC into a massive settlement. The fallout left executives questioning whether The View was worth the constant controversy, and then came Elon Musk.
To each side. And now when we've gone to this place where you only hear this, see, we have to tell you both sides. That's why Alyssa's here, that's why Anna's here, because we don't all think the same way. And it's like you all don't think the same way, so you want to hear what other people say. But when they're lying, we can't have it. We can't allow on this show to have things said that we know for a fact are not true. That's what it used to be. That's what it needs to go back to be, and that's where y'all come in. It's okay to feel how you feel, but demand the truth. Demand folks fact check what they're telling you. Because what they're telling...
Whoopi had spent months labeling Elon Musk everything from a reckless billionaire to a threat to democracy. But when she and the other hosts began spreading demonstrably false claims about Twitter's policies under Musk, he did something no one saw coming. He took legal action. And when Musk files a lawsuit, he doesn't hold back. Once again, ABC found itself scrambling for damage control. And soon, murmurs began circulating. Advertisers were losing patience with The View's never-ending controversies.
While I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House.
Boom. She's got more.
I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country.
Bam! It's on in the middle of the night.
All right.
What'd she say?
She basically said that they were going to give
God,
unqualified
how boring.
unqualified
Can they get
people
somebody there not
The
so
Behind
tedious?
the Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
Oh, they'd love having Joy in that room.
Joy
So
can
I
go.
got a question. So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
Attacking a woman for her looks or age isn't very progressive. Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Garda. Kosha, particularly that last clip that we played, it was so condescending. The way that she was scolding her as if she was a schoolgirl, suggesting she needed to do her homework. I find it so hypocritical when these so-called, caring, progressive voices just turn so nasty like that.
Yes, and as you mentioned, with conservative women, there's a long list of that, both of Trump's previous press secretaries, females, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Kayleigh McEnany, other figures like his campaign manager the first time, Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Palin very famously had to bear the brunt of a lot of this. So people are used to that. I think in their bubble of the audience that The View speaks to, that's probably kind of what the groupthink is. So one defense, I guess, is that she was speaking to her audience, but you take it outside of that bubble the way you are right now, and we all can see what it is.
And now, Karoline Leavitt had just delivered another major blow. 1 lawsuit is bad, 2 is worse. But 3? That's a full-blown crisis. ABC executives were in a frenzy. The show was bleeding millions in ad revenue, and reports surfaced that some of the network's biggest sponsors were reconsidering their partnerships. But the fallout didn't stop there. ABC swiftly went into damage control. For years, they had allowed Whoopi to dominate The View, shutting down conservative guests without repercussions. But now, she was the one being silenced, and it was a major embarrassment. And just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, they did. Sponsors began pulling out, and advertisers no longer wanted their brands associated with a show where hosts walked off instead of engaging in real debate. Even longtime fans of The View started to wonder, had the show finally gone too far?
New rock star launched overnight. Now, I know she's been around for some time, but how's this? She's just 27, but she's fantastic. This is the brand new press secretary representing the president. Now, remember old Karoline Jean-Pierre just lying to people about how amazing Biden was, deep fakes. The one before that, Jen Psaki, circle around just telling lies. Well, they've been replaced with a lady called Karoline Leavitt. I repeat, you can see she's a lady of faith. She's a lady who knows how to fire guns recreationally, and she knows how to drop a few bombs verbally on a press pack that, remember, covered up for Biden and have told the worst possible lies about incoming future Hitler Trump. Have a look at her taking control of a room of people who normally wouldn't even roll their eyes at
A woman being judged for her appearance or age isn't exactly progressive. Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha G. Kosha. That last clip we played was particularly condescending. The way she spoke to her, almost as if she were a schoolgirl who needed to study more. It's striking how these so-called compassionate, progressive voices can turn so harsh, yes. And as you mentioned, this is nothing new for conservative women. There's a long history of it. Trump's former press secretaries, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Kayleigh McEnany, faced similar treatment. His first campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, and even Sarah Palin endured relentless criticism. This kind of behavior is expected within the media circles that The View caters to. It aligns with the groupthink of their audience. In a way, you could argue she was simply playing to that crowd. But once you step outside that bubble, as we're doing now, the bias becomes much more apparent. Another interesting thing to note is that she was blending two separate ideas together. Then came the moment no one expected. ABC officially removed Whoopi Goldberg from The View. Of course, they didn't call it a firing. Instead, the network framed it as a temporary break, stating she was stepping away to focus on other projects. But anyone paying attention knew the reality. She'd been shown the door. For years, Whoopi had dominated The View, shifting it from a balanced panel discussion into a space where only one perspective was given the spotlight. She frequently dismissed, interrupted, and shut down opposing viewpoints without hesitation. But one exchange with Karoline Leavitt changed everything. Now, the show was in complete disarray. While I am committed to delivering the truth, from this podium, we expect the same standard from everyone in this room. It is a fact that many legacy media outlets in this country have spread falsehoods about this president and his family. We will not ignore it. We will call it out when we see misinformation or inaccurate reporting about this White House. And just like that, she had more to say. I'd also like to remind you all that in 2024, while Joe Biden was either in the Oval Office or asleep in the residence, whichever it may be, egg prices in this country skyrocketed by 65%. Boom. She wasn't holding back. Intro 16, would ABC bring in another Whoopi-like figure to take her place, or would they finally acknowledge that the show needed more balance? Could The View even recover from this level of backlash? Had Karoline just set a new precedent for how conservatives push back against the media? Whoopi expected to dominate the debate, just as she had done with so many others before. But instead, she faced a complete takedown, broadcasted to millions. Now, with ABC scrambling to contain the fallout, the world is watching closely. Whoopi Goldberg had long been The View's biggest star, but now she's its greatest liability. The fallout from this latest controversy could be the breaking point for the show. Would ABC finally decide to call it quits, or is there a chance Whoopi could make a return after her departure? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video.